The Dice Men Cometh!
Just Garth and Mark tonight. Now, Garth,
Yes?
snow happens, I was going to say, mostly in a season of winter, although here in Tasmania it could come at any time. This game you're about to talk about, that has seasons, doesn't it?
It sure does, and actually, it kind of starts at the end of winter, or more explicitly, the beginning of spring.
Yeah.
I guess.
So just as the snow is melting away, maybe.
That's true. And look, the game we are talking about this week is Everdell. Now, Everdell by Starling Games, designed by James A. Wilson, who has not done anything else apart from Everdell.
Pretty good start by him then, I'd
It's
say.
a pretty good start. The artist is Andrew Bosley as well, who's done a bit of stuff before, but it's also got the Australian connection, which is Dan May.
Yeah.
Now, Dan May, friend of the show, we went to a board game convention on the border where he joined us. He's credited with art direction, a bit of graphic design, and also the game and creative development. So he's had his fingers in this game.
And look, it wouldn't be a spoiler for me to say the art in this game
Yeah, get to that.
is absolutely is one of the most beautiful games I've seen in a long time.
Yes. So what is this game for those of you playing at home? Well, Everdell is a tableau building construction game, resource gathering, worker placement. I will give you the little bit of a blurb and I'll read exactly what it says in the rule book when you open it up because it sets the tone quite beautifully.
Do it earnestly, please, Garth.
I will do it as earnestly as I want. Within the charming valley of Everdell, beneath the boughs of towering trees, among meandering streams and mossy hollows, a civilization of forest critters is thriving and expanding. Ever since famed adventurer Corin Evertail discovered the hidden realm long ago, the citizens have prospered under the shelter of the enduring Evertree. From Everfrost to Bellsong, many a year have come and gone, but the time has come for new territories to be settled and new cities established. You will be the leader of a group of critters intent on such a task. There are buildings to construct, lively characters to meet, events to host. It will be a busy year. Will the sun shine brightest on your city before the winter moon rises? And that's it. You are playing competing critters trying to make your own little slice of Ever Paradise in Everdell. The way the board will be set out is dwarfed by the Evertree in this pretty big three-dimensional big tree that does actually serve a purpose. However, part of the purpose is, especially when it's maxed out at 4 players, arguably getting in somebody's way.
That's right, obscuring side of the board for at least one person. Although I was amazed because I had seen pictures of the game with the tree when it was on Kickstarter, and I think we might have mentioned it during the Kickstarter update.
Yeah.
Then when I saw you with the box in your hand, the two didn't connect. I'm like, hang on, this has got a great big tree in it, and you've got a box that I'd say it's a little bit smaller than like your not that you know what a Ticket to Ride box looks like, Garth, because you never played Ticket to Ride, but, you know, it's smaller than that sort of standard board game size box. Isn't it? Not much,
No.
but a little bit smaller, and yet it fits that amazing cardboard tree in it.
That's right. So, look, it must be said that the version we played is the Collector's Edition, which was one of the 2 editions you could get on Kickstarter, and it must certainly be said that Starling Games were very generous and sent us a review copy. So putting it out there, thank you very much, Starling Games. That was absolutely really appreciated. But what is this game and how do you play? So yes, as I mentioned before, it is a worker placement, tableau building, and I guess city building game because, as I said before, you are constructing your own little town. Now, what are you doing? Well, the board is made up of various places where you can send your critters. Now, you'll be going to collect wood or resin or berries or pebbles. Now, they're the 4 main resources that you're going to be using, and essentially you're going to gather those resources to then convert them into either constructions, i.e. buildings, or to critters, which are the characters that are going to inhabit your village or your city. Now, that's going to be pretty much how you're going to spend the game. And the challenging thing for this straight away is that you're only going to start with 2 workers. It's because it's spring, people are maybe still waking up or they're just not getting into gear, but you've only got 2 workers that you're going to be able to place, and there must be at least 8 starting locations that you can go to. Each of those locations, especially if you're playing at 4, will be able to fit at least 2 workers on each spot. So there's heaps and heaps of opportunity to go and gather resources. And that's how the game's going to start. Everyone's going to start by just gathering resources, because you'll also have your hand of starting cards. Now, the way it'll work, which is part of the reason that it took us a while to get started, is that you've got to figure out who the most humble player is first. Because it does say in the rules the humblest player goes first, so took us, a couple of hours of arm wrestling to figure that bit out. But then the first player will get 5 cards, the second player will get 6, the third will get 7, and the last will get 8. And 8 is the hand limit. On those cards that you've got, you will see your collection of constructions or the collection of critters. And along the left-hand side, they'll tell you what they cost. And they'll cost some version of berries and resin and wood and pebbles. And your job, using your workers, is to go and get all that loot so you can start playing them down.
Now, these, I have to mention, I'm going to jump in, these resources. Now, in the version we've got, they are absolutely amazing. So the berries, they are like little plastic pink, rubbery coated.
They're so squishy.
They look like blueberries, except they're pink. I mean, you could eat them. The pebbles...
Don't eat them.
The pebbles are... They look like shiny, smooth river stones. The sticks are just little cubey, no, not cubes, little brown cylinders.
Yep.
And then the resin is the sort of the typical game crystal
mold
crystals that you get in.
They're a shrinky-dinked version of the exact crystals that you'll find in Century Spice Road Golem Edition.
Yeah, look, they're in so many games.
In every other game.
The fact that, you don't have 4 different coloured cubes, you've got 4 different types of resources. Now, just correct me, is this something just special in the deluxe edition, or do all the games have those groovy
As far
resources?
as I remember, they all have the same resources. The collector's edition came with metal coins instead of your normal cardboard ones. The collector's edition also comes with a little inbuilt expansion which has some extra cards. It also has a solo mode, so you get a big D8 that comes along with it. And
it's got the cover of the box, the special
little sleeve that goes over the box,
glossy with gold leaf and stuff like that on it. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful.
Check out our Instagram photo if you want to get a bit of an idea of what it looks like. So you'll send your workers out to primarily gather resources. And the good thing is there's always going to be the 4 standard spots that you can go and collect your wood or your resin or your pebbles or your berries. But then you're going to have 4 forest spots. And the 4 forest spots are randomized using forest cards. And you'll just shuffle those up, put 4 of those down, and that immediately creates a bit of replayability. Because arguably you're not going to have the same 4 spots, which will be sometimes just different enough to make them more compelling than your standard spots. Like one of them you can go to and you might be able to get 3 berries instead of 2, which is amazing because a lot of the characters cost 3 berries to be able to play. Or you'll be able to go to a spot that might allow you to discard some cards from your hand in order to gain resources. And in the game that we played only a couple of days ago, the resource that was always hardest to get was pebbles.
Yes.
The standard pebble spot gets you a single pebble, and to build a lot of buildings, you need a lot more than 1 single pebble.
And I like that because so many times in games you might have 3 or 4 different resources, but really they're all worth the same thing. And, this one has, the basic spot, you can get 3 sticks.
Yeah.
You can get, I think, 2 resin, 1 pebble, and 2 berries, and then there was a couple of other sort of variations of that.
Yeah.
So you've got a bit of a economy where, well, if I can find a way to turn sticks into pebbles, for example, I had a card that let me replace one type of resource with another type of resource, which, of course, pretty much every time it was the pebble I was replacing because they were really hard to come by. You find that is really interesting, and I love that little economy between the resources.
Well, let's get to that, because the worker placement part is easy to describe. You send your worker out there, they get a thing or multiple things, and it's done. What becomes immediately interesting is the card play, and you're going to be building your tableau of 15 cards maximum. That is the largest that your city is ever going to be able to get. And there are cards that cost from 0 resources up to a lot of resources. And initially at the game, you're going to be playing relatively cheap ones.
Yeah.
The reason for that is that there are 5 different types of cards. You've got your Tan Traveller, which is just a little picture of I forget, what did you do when you left home? You know?
When I tied my handkerchief onto a stick and threw it over my shoulder.
Yeah, Huckleberry Finn style.
That's right.
So those cards are, as soon as you get them into your city, the effect happens straight away.
It's immediate bonus.
And the effect might be gain a resource, or it might be do something else relating to a card.
Yeah.
You've then got the green production cards, and they're the ones that you will use to get your engine going over the course of this game, because they're primarily going to be ones that will be you get a couple of a resource, or you're able to turn a resource into another resource.
Yeah.
And these cards are slightly different because they'll trigger as soon as you play them, but then they're also going to trigger potentially 2 more times in the game at the prepare for season phase, which we'll get to in a little while, but they will give you continual bang for your buck, which is awesome. You've then got cards that are destinations in themselves. So rather than just being limited to go to the 8 spots on the board, you're creating new spots, and they'll be things like universities or schools or post offices, and some of them will even allow the competing workers to come onto your spot and get the benefit, while you get a bit of a benefit as well. So whenever someone uses one of your locations, they have to give you a victory point.
And that was a really nice variation, the fact that some of those are open to everyone and some of them are only open to you, the player.
Correct. You'll then have your little blue governance ones, and they will offer certain benefits as you get along further into the game. And then you've got your purple prosperity, and they're kind of your bigger ticket items and your more expensive buildings or unique characters that you'll be building. They cost more resources, but they really combo quite well. So, for example...
And mostly combo for end-of-game scoring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You might find one which is called the Ever Tree, and it might give you an initial bang of 5 points, but it'll then give you 1 extra point for every other prosperity card that you've got in your tableau. So depending on when you find these and when you actually are able to get them down, they may be able to help you guide your strategy in terms of what you're going to be looking out for.
Yeah, and we had like husband and wife, where the husband was one type of card, I can't remember which, and then the wife was an endgame bonus if she had a husband.
Correct. And if they both lived on a farm, then it was even better again.
Yes, that's right.
So you've got your cards in your hand, but the other thing is you're always going to have 8 face-up cards in what is called the meadow. And those cards can be bought by whoever's turn it is if they have the resources to be able to do so. And that just means that you're always going to have options. On your turn, you'll only ever be able to do one thing. One thing will be move a worker and collect the resource, or buy a card. They're pretty much the 2 things that you're going to be able to do. And the game's just going to go round and round and round and round and round. Now, played out over 3 seasons, as we've discussed, you're going to run out of workers, especially at the start of the game, very damn early, because you only got 2 of them. So then becomes the first arguably complicated part of this game, which is the prepare for season.
Yep.
Prepare for season you can only do once your workers have all been used and they've been sent out to work. All you're going to do is drag them back home. Now, thematically, it means that you've taken care of what you need to for that particular season. You're ready to move into the next one. You're going to drag your workers home. You're going to be able to collect, first of all, 1 additional worker the first time you do this, 1 extra worker the second time you do this, and then the third and final time you get 2. So potentially you'll end up with 6 workers by the end of the game, which means you'll be able to potentially do so many
That's
different
right. There's
things.
a real accelerating curve into
sure is.
what you can do and how many different actions you can do. But that is then contrasted by the fact that, as you said, you can only put 15 cards in your tableau. And if you sort of peak too early and get excited, Garth, about putting out cheap cards quickly, then when you've got all those workers to do all those things, you may not have many spaces in your tableau left to fill, Garth.
That is remarkably accurate. It's like you were watching someone play a game. So the prepare for season thing is really cool because it allows you to get more actions and allows to do more things, which is right up your alley, Mark.
Yes.
What it also allows you to do is to trigger those green production cards again, which is going to get you more stuff which means you'll be able to then buy more stuff, which is fantastic. So you start getting this really good combination going. Now, for me, the joy in this game is all about the synergy in your cards. So you'll find that a hell of a lot of the constructions are paired up with a hell of a lot of critters.
Yes.
And rather than having to pay for the resources, a la Seven Wonders, I guess, if you have the right construction, you'll be able to play a critter for free.
Yeah, very clever.
So if you've got the courthouse, you'll be able to basically take a little token and signify that you've used the courthouse to build a judge for free.
Here come the judge.
Correct. Or if you've got the school, you'll be able to get the teacher. Or if you've got the cemetery, you'll be able to get the undertaker. And all of these things, which are fantastic because ultimately those cards work in a really good synergy, which just means that your engine gets a little bit stronger by doing that. Now, there's a crap ton of cards in this game. There are heaps and heaps and heaps. Let me look at the rules.
It's a massive stack that sits under that tree.
128 construction and critter cards, so a fair few. But in our game, most recently, you saw almost all of it. In fact, we saw all of them.
We did go through the whole deck.
Which is amazing, especially considering that 3 of the 4 of us were looking for a chapel card. Whether it ever turned up, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and because there are quite a few actions where you're discarding cards, either to get more cards, to get resources, or to get victory points. So we did tend to churn through them, that's for sure, which is great because you get to see all the lovely art.
Indeed.
And I guess you get to dive in to find those rarer cards, which there are a few of them.
So, there's how you play the game.
Duff, would you like me to tell you how you win the game?
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yes!
Wow, you're bragging about winning a game, Mark. That sounds like someone I know. So look, this game, yes, you will win by simply having the most victory points. Victory points come from the cards that you have been able to play in your tableau, victory points you've been able to accrue, events you have been able to achieve, because as soon as you get 3 of a certain type of card or 4 of a different type of card, you can go and claim an event, which will give you some points. There are special events that you can get points on if you've got a combination of the right cards in your city as well. There are lots of ways to earn points, but there's only really one way to lose points, and that is with arguably a card that I think about tearing up in the game, which is called the Fool. And the Fool is worth negative victory points. It's the only thing I can see that's worth negative points. And the great thing is it is a character worth -2 points that if you play 3 berries, you have the joy of putting it into someone else's tableau, which is what Oren did to me.
I was going to say, it doesn't sound that bad, except when it's expertly played, as it was when we played, into your 15th spot of your tableau.
Correct.
And you happen to be holding in your hand some super duper rare card like the Evertree that's like a bonus point machine.
Yeah.
And then you had no mechanic no way of getting rid of any of those 15 cards.
Yeah, it was
and
fun.
Because there are cards that let you trash other cards. Like I seem to remember there was a crane, I think, where you build the crane first and then you basically destroy the crane, well, signifying that you use it to reduce the resources need to play another card, and the crane is trashed. Likewise, there was it the dungeon?
There's the ruins.
Oh, that's right, the ruins, where it allows you to trash another card and basically get the resources from that card, which then, of course, turns it into ruins, which is very thematic. So there are little ways to sort of manipulate your tableau, but not
many.
Not massively. Yeah.
No, so this bloody fool that went into my tableau, Oren, it must be said, spent about 3 or 4 minutes giggling to himself like a little school child before doing this, because he saw that one spot that I had in my tableau and he played it, and it was like all his Christmases had come at once. He was so happy.
Oh, yes.
I had to tell Dan May about this, so I did message him and I said, this card cost me 11 points. And he goes, I don't think that's possible. When I explained that what it meant was I couldn't play my Evertree, which was worth initially 5 points.
Yeah.
And because I couldn't play the Evertree, I then couldn't claim the other 4 points that it was going to give me because I had these other prosperity cards, which is 9 points.
Plus the minus
2 makes it 11. His initial response, apart from a lot of laughy emojis, was, I'll let James Wilson, the designer, know about that because he'll think it's hilarious.
It was.
Glad I've made your time. It's
And
so
it
fun.
was. Look, I really enjoyed this game. Now,
did.
not just because I smashed you and the other guys we played with, but look, it's so gorgeous to look at. There's lots of interesting choices, but it's not too thinky. And I don't know if I've ever played a game where you've got that combo of worker placement and card play. So on that first turn, yes, you've only got 2 workers, so you can only do 2 worker actions. But if you can get enough resources to then play cards, you might actually end up taking 4 or 5 actions all up because you might get to play 3 cards. I'm trying to think of something that is a bit similar that combines those 2 things together, and I can't think of it.
No, I can't off the top of my head.
Not with the sort of the tableau building thing.
So there's a couple of things wrong with this game, I think. The first one is that the rulebook isn't as clear as it needs to be, I think. So the big confusion around this for us the very first time, and we did need to stop and reset, is all about this prepare for season action. Now, the prepare for season action is basically you're dragging back your workers, you're triggering your green production cards again, but then that doesn't make it clear that you can then just keep going with your next season while other players are still thematically in the other season. Now, the thematic reason behind this, according to Dan, is that just think of you all working in different climates or different climes of a forest. So, I might be in a lush green area, so it gets to be summer there quicker before you're in the cold depths of cold heights of a hill. But it's not explicitly said in the rule book, and we did need to BGG it and do a bit of research, because the first time we did it, we just sort of went, okay, well, you just have to skip your turns until everyone's ready.
Yeah, we sort of made that gamer assumption of, well, surely we would then wait until everyone's finished and then start the next season together.
Yeah.
But thematically, it makes sense. Now, did we mention, sorry, to take you back to your point, just because this is interesting, I think, did we mention that you've got your 4 different types of meeples, so each person has a different meeple that's a different creature?
Yeah, you got your porcupines and your squirrels and your turtles and rabbits,
They're gorgeous little wooden meeples. They really are. Once again, if you check out our Instagram or Twitter feed, you will see the photo that I posted with these lovely little meeples. They are gorgeous. But I guess thematically, hedgehogs might they won't squirrel away. Hedgehogs might hedgehog away, the resources they need, and then be able to start doing other stuff earlier than, say, rabbits might have to run around and do the thing that rabbits do in spring, and then they might get a bit worn out and they might need a bit more of a rest. So it ties in quite nicely, but I agree, it certainly could have been explained a little bit better in the rules.
Correct. And the other thing is this tree is beautiful, but it does get in the way. The reason it gets in the way, I think, though, is a lot of the cards, because that art is so amazing, the text on the card becomes really quite tricky to read, especially if you're trying to lean over and look at the cards in the meadow.
Yeah.
The main issue I have for that is the cards that are the destinations. So these are the ones that you really need to try and keep an eye on what your opponents have got. You need to be able to see what destinations can I potentially go to. And you need to be able to see what the action is that you are able to then do. And I just think that the destination cards arguably could have looked a little bit different so that it was easier to see from various corners of the table to see, well, if I go over there and I can place my worker in Mark's post office, that'll allow me to do a thing. Most of the time when we talked about this at the table, we had to ask, okay, what does it do? Can you explain it to me?
Yeah.
And I think that was just, one of those situations where the look of the game and the art was arguably too important.
Yeah, well, for me, I think the only one knock that I've got on this game is now, help me out here, Garth, what were those end-game scoring special cards?
Oh, the special events.
Yeah, so the special events. Now, with those, you needed pretty much all the ones we saw, and I don't know if there's different ones in there, were a combination of a specific critter and a specific construction.
Yep.
And they weren't the ones that were paired.
No. So
you wouldn't necessarily get the 2 of them together. So there was like a dungeon and a ranger maybe, and there was they do go together, the teacher and the university, but the university wasn't the one that let you get the teacher for free.
There was a clock tower and a chip sweeper.
Yeah. So the pairs that were of things that were on there didn't necessarily go together. There was only 4 of those. And I guess it's very random because it's a random game because you're drawing cards. You might be lucky and have two of those cards in your opening hand. You might be lucky and see them, or you might not be. I mean, we were sort of diving through the card deck towards the end trying to find them because they were worth not an insubstantial amount of points. And I guess I think I got two of them, and you might have got two maybe, because only one person can claim them. I guess I wonder, given the randomness of them, whether they're really needed at all. Do they add much to the game? It is great to have those sort of end-game scoring, but given they're just based on what cards come out, I don't know.
I think it's probably designed to help you, again, guide strategy for what cards, because it's amazing how quickly you will go from having 0 cards to having 5 to 10 cards all in your tableau, and then you really go, oh, I've got to put the brakes on.
Yeah.
Because I had 11 or 12 cards in my tableau before I even got to autumn.
Yes.
So I had 3 cards that I was able to play with my last season when I had 6 workers available. So I really had to sort of spare it back, and then bloody Oren put the fool out, so that ruined that. But anyway, so I think there's a couple of things that aren't right. There's a really big BGG file, 16 pages of questions that were answered by the designer.
Okay.
Because a lot of people have said the cards aren't quite as clear as they need to be. We didn't experience really any confusion on what the cards meant, but I don't know.
I mean, sometimes people get fairly pedantic about that sort of thing, and
exactly.
You always find that on BGG. They did, because there is not an FAQ, but there's like a glossary.
There's a glossary about all the cards in the back of the rule book, so that's really, really fine.
And any game with that many cards is bound to have some that can be potentially interpreted different ways.
Correct. So anyway, that's more than enough on Everdell by Starling Games and James A. Wilson. I really, really liked it. I believe we're playing it again next week, so everyone around the table really enjoyed it as well, so that's cool.
And on Kickstarter right now, to sort of maybe segue into something else we're going to talk about later, is the expansion.
Yeah, the Pearlbrook.
So a new expansion. Plus, of course, if you've missed out on Everdell the first time in the Kickstarter, you can back the base game and the expansion.
And it's
again, it looks beautiful. Masses of stretch goals, more beautiful wooden meeples, more beautiful art. So
axolotl meeples.
Oh, look.
Anyway, we better throw to a song.
We would have to say, here on Edge Radio 99.3 FM with the Dice Men Cometh, sponsored by Area 52, our wonderful local game store, that this game is very much what you would call pretty.